What's going on, guys? We are back. Another Tuesday Night Live. Hey, a couple quick things this weekend. If you're up in the Reading area, go to the Reading Sportsman Show. Check out the Headwaters booth. He's going to have some show deals there. So you got to show up, talk to Brian, see what he's got going on. And April 13th, new store in Rancho Cordova is going to be, it's open now, but that's going to be their grand opening. April 13th. I think it's like 10 to 5, remember right? So you guys are in the area, go down there and check that out. Shane?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Good afternoon, bud.
Hey, how are you all doing?
You had an exciting weekend this weekend.
I did. Yeah, I decided I'd go out to Lake Tolic and I was going to go up to Maloney's, but I decided, I'm just going to go up to Tolic, and just poke around. The water level's actually up compared to when we were last out there for the FAM series tournament. And
Okay.
yeah, I caught a 7.1 first thing in the morning. Bite was pretty good, pretty hot first thing in the morning. Then it kind of died off, but yeah, 7.1, largey.
Nice.
Yeah, caught it on a lipless and about 15 feet of water. So I thought she was bigger though, man. When I netted her and brought her in, I had to use two hands to get her in, and I thought she was more than 7 pounds. I thought she was going to be pushing closer to 9, but I think she had already done her spawn duties, and so yeah.
Off once she went. Right on. Well, congrats on the PB.
Yeah, thank you.
That's pretty awesome.
It was only by a 1/10 of an ounce, but
whatever. I don't know what my PB
1 ounce.
weighed. That spot. I have no idea. I wish we would have weighed that thing.
Oh, I
Johnny?
know.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations, Shane.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was a blast.
I bet.
How are your new coworkers treating you, John?
I gave him a little break. I haven't been out for a few days.
No.
Trying to save my hand for this weekend.
There you go. Oh, you think you're going to catch something this weekend?
Yeah, about 50 or 60 of them.
There you go. All 12 plus, 12 minus.
14. They all got to be 14.
I know. John's going to catch all the dinks in the lake.
Yeah.
They'll be 18 and bigger, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, high hopes. Right on, guys. Hey, yeah, that reminds us, don't forget, Native, No Limit, Big Bass Power Hour. We had Marv on last week. Is this weekend, Saturday at Clear Lake. Get signed up. Got plenty more spots to go. They're paying up $1,000 an hour, big bass.
Hey, man, all it takes is one big fish, dude, and you get $1,000 as long as it's the biggest fish in that hour. So
that's right. It could be a 14 if the lake bites tough and you catch a 14. Hey, you might got it.
Entry fee's $130. I think the return's pretty epic there. You got 8 hours to catch a big
Heck
fish.
yeah. So,
gonna
guys,
be a good
we
time.
are joined tonight by Mr. Bam.
Bam
Yeah,
Miller.
bud.
What's up, Bam?
What's up, guys?
Bam the Hammer.
Bammer the Hammer, I guess. Well,
That's
once
right.
upon a time,
Yeah.
at least.
Still are,
We used
man.
to fish all the time.
Yeah.
The only guy that can go out and fish every once in a while, still win everything.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I still remember that 3-day Delta tournament, dude, where you freaking crushed it.
Yeah, that was nuts. that was the best days of fishing I've ever had in my life. It just happened to be that weekend, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Bam won
Pardee.
2 weeks ago, I don't remember. Couple weeks ago, the Yak-A-Bass Gambler event at Lake Pardee, one of my favorite lakes to go fish. And then we're joined by this other hammer down here, Mr. Pua Yang. What's up, buddy?
Thanks for having me.
What's up,
Thanks
Boo?
for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Hey.
What up, boy?
Pua's,
What's up, man?
you guys know him. He's always smashing, winning, collecting all that
Just getting
money.
lucky, man. Just getting lucky.
Just
Catching
money bags,
chatterbait
Pua.
fishing 100 feet
Yeah.
water.
He caught that fish suspended over 150 foot of water and 30 feet deep with chatterbait.
Sometimes it happens like that.
I had that little run with the chatterbait, but I feel like Pooh is the real chatterbait guy. I can throw it in shallow water, but he can throw it anywhere. I think he might be that chatterbait.
Every time he says he won it on a chatterbait in 30 feet, I gotta call BS on him, but I know he ain't.
Hey, that's just like Bam's green pumpkin, man. I'll tell you.
It works.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right,
it does,
guys.
man.
Yeah,
Thanks for,
congratulations, fellas. Good job.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight. So, Bam, let's start with Pardee. So, that was 30 days off limits. I do believe the lake opened up in that time frame, right? So there was no pre-fishing for Pardee.
Mm-hmm.
What were you looking for, and why did you decide to go where you went?
I based most of my plan off of last year. I kind of fished the same area last year, Pardee, in a few trips, and I was kind of thinking it would set up similar, but just our weather's been a little more stable this year, so I was thinking they'd be a little further along in their early spring, shenanigans that bass are up to. So,
Yeah.
I headed down there to kind of see what I could do. Once I got down there, I saw right away, though, the fish were a lot further along, and I kind of pushed shallower and started to make things happen. Pardee, I hadn't fished. I think the last time I had bass fished was August. I think it was a tournament on the Delta. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the Chris Laird, but I hadn't fished for a while, and I went to Maloney's twice to kind of get the feel for dragging deep, thinking that that's what I was going to do, and went to Pardee and just kind of went on some history, and then happened to stumble across some up shallow on the south end. So it was cool.
Yeah. That I don't want to tell everybody where that end of the lake is. That's our secret, Bam. We got to keep that between us.
Well, hey, that's a pretty vague.
With you.
That's a pretty vague description,
That's right. That's
The
right.
south end of the lake's pretty freaking big. I mean, there,
Yeah,
you got humps, you got all sorts of stretches of bank, you have creek arms, you got a ton of stuff, So,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it was cool. It was cool to stumble into them and kind of see something that I'd learned from before,
Tell us
for
about
sure.
the bait of choice, the bait you used, and the structure you were fishing, and how deep.
Yeah, so I was catching them on the Ned rig, which is kind of like my basis. Like that, like every lake I go to, it's like the Ned rig kind of like figures out the bite for me, whether they're biting it or not,
Mhm.
So I started with the Ned, and if they're not eating the Ned, they're either super suspended or they're just not biting anything, or they're on real small bait or something.
Yeah.
Starting with the Ned is like, all right, they're either on it or they're not. And
Were you throwing it on a dart head exposed hook, or?
Yeah, I was on an exposed hook, a 1/4 ounce Ned head, just
Okay.
to stick to the bottom.
Mhm.
And I anticipated catching them in 40 or 50 feet, but once I, I'd only marked maybe 2 fish in about an hour or so, and they were real skittish. So once I moved up shallow, I kind of stuck with the 1/4 just out of sheer laziness. It's what I got tied on, so I'm just going to
Who
keep
wants
on
to
pulling it.
retie anything?
And the first fish that I caught was pretty much while I was picking my nose, and just happened to get one on the hook, and it was like,
What
all
were-
right,
you were
these
doing what? No, no.
He
Please
was
tell us what you were doing. No.
enjoying his coffee while he had the line out
Yeah.
there, sitting
Yeah,
there
so-
watching the birds.
Yeah,
Checking his
drinking some
phone.
coffee.
yeah, whatever
Yeah.
your non-fishing activity is while fishing,
Okay.
and man, just I caught a fish, and it's like I need to slow way down and just let this thing sit there, and that's kind of when things started to happen for me.
Nice.
Very good.
Now, how
So-
shallow?
so you were-
Like, were they like short of 5 feet, or were they like 5 to 10 feet?
I was catching most of my fish from 15 to 25.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
so it's
yeah, that makes sense because I mean, shoot, last year I was in 35 to 65. That's probably where I would have started out looking too.
right.
just to make sure because the deeper I went last year, it seemed like that was where the more and more fish were. The bigger ones for sure. So they're
Right.
definitely a lot further along with the weather we've had, other than the temperatures going up and down like crazy.
Yeah.
So the structure you were fishing, was like a point? You just throw it out on the point? Was it a bluff wall, cobble rock, shell rock?
I caught the majority of my fish out of like one pretty small cove, 20 by 20, maybe 30 by 30 yards. Had some water coming in, and the water it was warmer in that end of the lake, but where I was at, it was a cooler pocket, and I think I don't know. And this is some hillbilly theoretical stuff I'm like thinking about, but I'm kind of thinking that those fish were not so far along. They were thinking a little more pre-spawn, as opposed to we're moving up to warm our eggs and like kind of think about the spawning, ritual that we're going to get into. I think those fish were slightly dumber, a little hungrier than a lot of the fish that everybody else was fishing for.
Nice. Yeah, that was at Tolic. That seemed to be my big thing. Like I said, small cove with the water running into it, and that was the weekend before you guys fished Pardee. So kind of the same thing. They were in that 25-foot range, 15 to 25, and exactly had that water running in, and there was a nice spawning flat behind them.
So that was day one. The day two, you go to the same area. How was day two?
Yeah, day two. That was the best chance I had, was just to go back and try to do the same thing. Everything else that I had tried, I just was either going way too long between bites, or just not getting bites, or watching fish on my graph run away from my bait when I dropped it on them. So I went back and I decided to throw a jig a little bit, kind of hearing the chatter at the ramp the day before the jig, seemed to be catching fish. And so I threw the jig, and I caught some fish on it, but really the Ned was catching the same quality fish. So I just went back to doing the same thing. I caught, I think, 4 out of my 5 keepers out of that one cove again.
So how long did you go between bites? Was it painfully slow, or was it? Did you call it all, or do you have 5 a day and that was it?
Day one, I caught a lot of fish. I probably had somewhere between 15 and 20 fish, and but a lot of 13 3/4. 13 just almost touching 14. I think I called maybe twice. Day two, and day one, I didn't catch a fish until about 10:45, 11 o'clock.
Oh, that's
So
a long run for that.
Oh man, I was freaking out. It's like, oh man, I just completely wasted my day down here. And I had no service, so I'm thinking everybody's just crushing me. Day two, and John saved me at the end of the day so I could submit my fish. But day two is just, I think I caught 3 or 4 in the first hour and a half, and I just felt so confident that it was just like, at some point I'm going to catch one that's going to be a difference maker. And I never really did, but the bite was so tough that I was able to make something happen. And really, I like when the bite's really tough. I feel like I have a better chance. You know?
Nice. Yeah, grounder tournaments are not fun to watch, but they definitely they're fun to fish sometimes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is there
Pooh,
any?
did you fish that event?
What's that?
Oh, I was wondering if Pooh fished Pardee. I can't remember.
I don't think he did.
I did.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
you
did?
did? Oh,
I did.
okay.
That was the weekend that I did 2 tournaments on Saturday.
Oh, geez.
How did you do that?
Yeah, how'd you manage that?
Well, one of them was on the Delta, so I knew that, and it was open launch, so I knew that if I just had like, I don't know, a few hours to get a limit, I could just, I mean, I gave myself 2.5 hours, you know, in the morning at the Delta, and then after that, I just freaking bolted to Pardee. But then, I mean, had I known that bite sucked, I probably would have just stayed at the Delta. Because, I mean, when I got there, I ran into who did I run? I ran into Max and AJ and and John too. And everybody's like, well, I didn't speak to John, but I spoke to Max and AJ. They're like, yeah, 1 fish. Yeah, I got 2 fish. Like, oh my God.
Yeah,
But
it was
yeah,
pretty cool.
I ended up catching 1 short, and I didn't come back day 2 because I was just like, you know what, I'm already out of it, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Right on. Shane, it sounded like you were going to ask Bam a question. So
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what you guys find any grass up there at Pardee yet?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
big time. Lots of grass, and that was kind of the deal. Was certain banks had grass at like certain depths, you know.
Mhm.
It was just the outside of the weed line was the thing, and it was
Yeah.
every bank kind of had it at a different depth. And I assume that Pua didn't fish Pardee because he didn't beat me. So that was I figured
he wasn't throwing a chatterbait in the right depth, I guess.
yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing too, is if I had a full day on Pardee, I probably would have ran south, because from what I know, there is more grass down south. And I mean, I found patches up, you know, right where the mouth is, where you launch, but I didn't like it, man. It was very patchy, and where I've gone down south before, I've seen a lot more grass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the grass was probably what, about a foot tall, maybe 1.5 feet tall.
Yeah. Maybe 2
Yeah,
feet
give
at
or
the
take.
most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I fail to fish at Pardee all the time is the grass. And I know there's a ton of it in there. I always go. I know, right? You think I'd go fish it.
I've had great days out at Pardee, just going from grass patch to grass patch. I mean, just fun fishing, you know. Never seems to happen for me on tournament day, but go out there a fun day and just find grass patches, and they're loaded in there. So,
Just
So
difficult to
Bam.
fish.
So
yeah.
Bam, was there like I mean, besides dead sticking the bait and then fishing that one stretch, was there like a last minute fish that made the difference and just made you feel a lot more confident that you were going to do well?
Yeah, on the second day, I had ran back kind of early because I had no service the whole time, you know. So I had ran back kind of early, hoping to find you so I could use your hotspot again to get my fish
Yeah.
uploaded. But I had ran into somebody that was sitting out on a hump to get their service. But before I came up on them, I decided to sneak over towards the bank and maybe graph a little bit. And I saw a fish sitting on a point, and I dropped on it. And the first fish that actually didn't run from it, I dropped it, and he ate it. And it was a 17-inch smallmouth, and it culled me like 3 inches or so, I think. And
Nice.
but that almost freaked me out more than making me feel like I had it, you know, because I had no service. So I'm thinking somebody's got a decent bag and they beat me, you know. But yeah, I caught that fish, and I almost felt less confident than I did prior to that, because I was like, man, this is the only fish I caught north of the river arm, you know. And I'm thinking, man, these guys up here caught them. They you know, if I just pulled up on this spot and I caught this big fish, they got them. There's no way. And
Dude,
I didn't know until I walked up the ramp that I'd won. Somebody told me, and I was like, no way. That's crazy, you know.
That's funny because was it last year the weather blew me off that spot I was fishing down south. I was like, dude, I got, so like I said, no cell service down there. Nobody was anywhere near. I think Alden was the closest person to me. I could barely see him way down yonder, you know. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta get back to where at least I have service and I'm around somebody in case I can go in because that wind was ripping crazy. And I ended up stopping just north of the river, like you did, and ended up catching like a 17 and a quarter smallmouth that called enough to beat old Bailey there for the Wild West tournament that we were fishing that day. So that's funny. It's funny. Same thing happened with you. Last minute fish, man.
Curious, was it a mixed bag of smallies and large, or just more smallies, more largemouth?
I had a pretty even mix. I'd say slightly leaning towards smallmouth.
Okay.
But if I had found the largemouth the way that James did last year, it would have been a little bit different story, I think.
You
Yeah.
would have had that one in the book. But that's the thing. I don't know if that would have held out for 2 days.
You know, that's the thing with 2-day
You
tournaments
never
and
know,
and the gambler series in general. It's kind of crazy, dude. You know, you go into it and you have no pre-fishing, you know, and it's just kind of like who can figure it out. And you know, as much as you could try to point to, you know, you have knowledge and skill or whatever. There's a lot of luck involved. Did I make the right? Did I make the right choice? You know, and I just happened to make the right choice this time. You know,
that's awesome. Yeah, those no pre-fish and everything. That's it makes it tough, dude, especially when the lake's been, you know, no fishing since was it Labor Day they shut down, Shane, right after Labor Day last year. I think they shut down early.
They shut it down like almost 2 months prior to the normal time. Blamed it on construction or something. So.
Yeah, so they should, you know. So you guys haven't seen that lake, you know. I don't know if you fished it at all after last March's event.
I went quite a few times because that bite.
Oh, did you?
Awesome. Yeah, I think I went there maybe like 5 times, and like then the next week.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah. That bite was on fire last year.
Yeah.
The bite was much better. The bite was much better
last year.
No, bam.
It was different. I wouldn't say it was necessarily better. Maybe it was a little better, but the fish were staged much deeper. And when you found them, you really found them.
Oh, okay.
You know, I don't know what James was really fishing specifically, but for me, I was on like a real deep flat. Scott Savco fishes it. Alden fishes it. There's a bunch of guys that go down there, but it's just this big series of like humps and deep flats. And you know, if you were patient enough and you were willing to really work at some fish and go real slow, real deep, there was some really nice fish to be caught down there. But they were just grouped up.
Very good.
Yeah, as I was saying, you know, deeper I went last year, the more I found. Once I hit that 40 and deeper, they were in bunches, and I wasn't on a flat, so I'm gonna say, but they were down there. I'm sure you guys, if you watch the video, you know where I'm at. So
yeah,
I can't hide it. You know what I mean? I did put it out there for everybody to watch, but
I may or may not have tried that spot.
If you're familiar with the lake, you definitely know where I was at. And I know you probably knew exactly where I was at. Because, I mean, shoot, you and I spent the hour run last year BSing all the way down that way. So, yeah, that's funny. Pua?
Yo.
Folsom Lake King? What'd you do at Folsom?
Man.
Yeah, almost 100 inches.
Start with your pre-fishing.
Yeah. I think I would have gotten 95 for the tournament, but I lost some key fish. But you know, based on pre-fish, I had a different game plan. I was gonna run up the river, run up the rapids, and find some deep holes and look for like giant smallies and giant spots. Because based on last year, you know, I caught my only fish there, and it won big fish for Yak-A-Bass. And I tried to run up there, but I mean, once I turned a corner from the oncoming water from the rapids, I started seeing white water, and I was like, you know what, I can't go up anymore. You know, there's just no way. So I decided to shoot back down and work those tree lines that are pretty much apparent on the I don't know what that area is called, but it's a flat, and a lot of people walk on it, and there used to be an old bridge there. and it's actually underwater now. And you could see the tree lines on both side. And I decided to work those tree lines during pre-fish. Threw Senkos at them and uh, caught a lot of just smaller fish. And I was thinking to myself, man, tactically, if I want to put myself away from the crowd and at least have a shot, whether if it's going to be feast or famine, it's going to have to be that area because I didn't want to go and juggle with offshore humps and points and stuff on the main lake, especially if the wind and the weather got gnarly. So, I mean, I didn't find much during pre-fish, caught, a few small dinkers, 15, 14 inches. But I think one thing that really did key me in was when I had two solid fish follow my chatterbait up back to the kayak. They didn't commit to it, but that kind of told me what I needed to do and how I needed to adjust. And then, the night before the tournament, I just kind of planned on what they were going to be doing as the weather progressed for the day of the tournament. And I was just thinking, if they're up shallow, they're gonna pull to those trees because those trees are not by any means in deep in shallow water. They're pretty deep. I think the shallowest I've seen that I saw a tree was like 8 foot, and then
Yeah.
the deepest one was like in like 18 foot. So they varied. And I think a key thing that I did notice too that did make me go and launch out of Salmon Falls was the water temperature. So if you're in the main channel and you pull and you veer off towards those trees, I mean, it is a significant water temp change. Once I got all the way to the trees, it is like a 3 to 4 degree increase. And I think that kind of clued me in onto what they would be doing if they were shallow. And that area itself is infested with carp. And so I mean, I had a game plan going into it. The morning of, I went straight to the trees and made a few casts with a chatterbait. Nothing. A bass boat came by. I was like, man, this is not good. He's working the trees, right? And I was like, I was gonna go work the trees, but I pulled back and I made a random cast up shallow, really shallow, like probably like 2 foot of water. And as soon as that bait fell down, I felt the tug, so I set the hook because I mean, if I had forward facing sonar, I'd be able to see all the brush that you couldn't visibly see. Because on the side scan, you could barely make it out of what it is, because all you can really see is just shadows. And I thought I was hung up on a brush, but I decided to set the hook anyways. And then I ended up reeling in my smallest fish, which was a 17 3/4, right? So I was thinking to myself, hmm, maybe I'm gonna run with that for a bit because I mean, tactically, that bass boat was on the tree, so I was like, you know what? Since I caught the fish shallow, let me work it. Let me go ahead and work shallow. I ran with that for like 2.5 hours, didn't get bit. So, you know, you know how it goes when you ain't catching a fish, right? Your mind just starts going crazy.
Hmm.
So I was telling myself, you know what? Let me go check out this creek channel that leads into a cove because I've seen fish there before. So I veered away from fishing the trees at that point. Went scanned over that creek channel, nothing, didn't see anything. Saw another small bridge that didn't hold any fish. Finally pulled back out, went to a point that had some trees on it too. So once I got there, I did some flips with a drop shot, nothing. Finally I cast and and this is what I mean when it's dumb luck accident. I made a cast, right? And my rod tip ended up hitting the tree that was right next to me. So I ended up getting a bird nest. And it took me a minute to fix that bird nest. But I mean, I knew where I was casting it to, but it was pretty bad. Like I actually didn't intend to throw it to where I threw it to, but it was actually in between like a tight little spot where two trees were, and it actually went right in between them. And once I reeled up my slack, once I fixed my line, I reeled it in, and literally as soon as it hit one of the trees, I mean, that 18-incher just came out and smoked it, and that didn't really open my eyes yet. I was still thinking to myself like, maybe that dumb fish was just there and I got lucky, whatever. But then I progressed working the trees, right? And then that patch of trees ended up not having anything in it after that one fish. So I moved to a different set of trees on a different shoreline. And I think it was about the third or the fourth tree. Like I literally flipped it into the tree because that was when the wind started pushing in, and I kind of lost control of my kayak. So I was like, you know what, just let me get this flip in, and then I'll fix my kayak position. Flipped it in, and I swear to God, like it's like 2 seconds into it dropping, this fish already picked it up already. I had no idea. And then once I got my kayak into position, I reeled up my slack, and my line was already swimming like the opposite way already. So by then I knew it was a fish. So I set the hook, and I think by that time I knew that these fish, they were on selected trees, but it was still not even apparent to me which trees they were on because there's so many trees. Because after that, I ended up flipping every tree from every angle, right? And it got
So
too
were you
windy.
throwing the
So
chatter? Pua?
yeah, I was flipping the chatterbait.
Down the
Everything
middle
was
of the tree.
chatterbait. Okay, I just want to make
Yeah,
sure because
yeah,
using the chatterbait, I see him
yeah,
put this in perspective now.
He's
yeah,
All
flipping
right.
rods.
yeah. So
For
yeah, yeah.
skirted, no
So
skirt. What were you doing? Was it chatterbait? Chatterbait
yeah,
head with no
it's
skirt and a
no, it's a skirted
craw?
chatterbait. Yeah,
Okay,
it's a
yeah.
skirted chatterbait with the crawl trailer. And and going back, so I was using, so those fish that were tracking my bait on pre-fish, I was using a white chatterbait, and I switched it to a black and blue on game day. And I think that kind of made a difference too, because I mean I stuck with that all day, and I mean that's all I got bit on. But
How dirty was the
going back,
water back there?
it was pretty clean. It was actually pretty clear. But I think the wind chop really helped me get those bite going. Because
Okay,
I think yeah, if it was
and what
calm and
pound?
clear, what's that?
You throw like 20 pound, right, on your chatter? 17, something like that.
Yeah, 18 and 20, 18 to
Okay,
20.
so and Folsom fish are typically line shy, so that I'm
Yeah,
just curious. Okay,
yeah, and mind you, all these fish were all largemouth, besides the first one that I caught, which was a spot. Uh, but by that time, by my third fish, I knew that the fish that were in the trees were all largemouth. And at that point, it got windy, right after my third fish. So I decided to switch to a 3/4 ounce. So just so that I can cast it into the wind a lot better. And after that, I lost two fish because I got it too deep into the brush, the trees that had brush in it. I had it too deep in there, and I think at some point, the hook point got onto a brush, and the fish shook off. But yeah, I lost two fish. I think one of them was a really good one. I saw her head come out of the water as the hook popped out of her mouth, and then the other one I couldn't tell. But yeah, after that, then I caught my fourth one, moved to the tree line that was on the other side, and worked that whole tree line. Nothing. Finally got to the end of it and caught my fifth fish, and that was all she wrote.
you only caught
Now,
5, huh?
Yeah, I only boated five.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
how
Yeah.
deep are these tree lines in?
So they were varying between like 18 to like 8 7 8 foot, the
So you
shallowest
would
that I saw.
you would see the top of it,
Oh
or
yeah,
you would
oh yeah, yeah,
you'd see the top of it, picture
yeah.
right in there.
So the way I was fishing, it was like it was a visual target thing, like with my eyes and not with the electronics. So I'd see these trees and I'd just throw right into them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to. I have
Oh,
to
I gotta
ask.
show this, guys. Sorry, Pooh. I don't mean to interrupt you.
That's Bill. Bill
I,
saying that.
you know,
Yeah,
I,
I got to ask, why did you
Damien
change
and
your
I
name
were
all of a
watching.
sudden?
We're watching this back in Oklahoma. I think it was on the way home from Oklahoma, right? We're driving, And I pulled up the standings. I was like, who is that guy? I'm like, it's got to be Pua. And I was like, because there's something else that keyed me to it. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely Pua. I was like, when did he change his name? Oh, that's too funny.
So to answer your question, John, I changed my name because I just felt like changing my name.
Sorry, Bam. I didn't mean
That's
to interrupt you.
No,
I read
no,
that
no, no.
comment.
No, you're good. I'm just tripping. How do you get the confidence to do that, dude? You know what I mean? Like how do you, like you say your pre-fishing wasn't like great, but you saw something kind of cool. But regardless of that, like how do you go out tournament day when, you're fishing Folsom, like it's like a spotted lake mostly, and like most guys are going to be fishing the normal, Kitech, robo worm, whatever, like finesse stuff. How do you go out there and just throw a chatter all day for 5 bites? Like that's borderline psychotic, dude. Like that.
Yeah, straight up psychotic.
I think for me, it's more of I'm just confident in that bait. You know what I'm saying? Like guys go out and it's like you said, guys go out and they throw what is the norm, right? But I think for me, the chatterbait, it's either gonna give me big bites or it's not gonna give me any bites. And I think with that mindset, I know that I have to either go for it all or just come home with nothing.
So, do you not have a follow up bait for your chatterbait? You don't throw anything else if you're throwing that?
I do. I do. So like the follow bait for my chatterbait would either be like if I would to go for like finesse, it'd be a Senko or a drop shot, or if I were to follow up with another moving bait, it'd be a spinner bait. But other than
Did
that,
you
I
do
mean,
all that, or you just lock the
I
chatterbait in
did,
your hand?
I did,
Okay.
I did do all that, and like I said, I wasn't getting bit on anything until that stupid accident happened.
so the key was pulling it through the brush, ripping it out of
Yeah,
the brush.
yeah,
So was it were these trees where they have like all like the branches on them? Were you fishing the bases
yeah,
of them or
yeah. So that's what I found too was it had to be the trees that had the brush and the bigger branches in them to hold fish. Uh, these fish were varying from being suspended at the top or they're at the bottom of,
Yeah.
of the trees.
so you're making
Sometimes,
multiple casts at the same tree trying to figure out where they're at, basically?
yeah, different angles. Yeah, when I could.
Right on.
You ever catch
Yeah.
more than one fish out of a tree, single tree, or the same tree?
No, no.
No.
So yeah, so that's what I was going to do before the thunder came in. I was gonna run the trees back, right? But I think the you know the weather didn't allow for me to do that, so I wasn't able to figure out if they reloaded or if they didn't.
So what chatterbait rod do you use?
What's that?
So what chatterbait rod do you use?
I use a Powell Endurance.
Man, you're supposed to say Bam's rod. Come on, dude. He's on the show.
Jeez.
I don't know. Bam's got to give me
Oh,
one to try.
Well, if you ordered it like 8 years ago, it'll be ready like maybe
Oh,
by
that's
next week.
right. That's right. Hey, you don't make them anymore, huh, Bam?
Nah, that's
Yeah,
too much, man. It's too much.
yeah, I hear you.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. And who was it? Matthew Brannon says like, "Oh, I got 2 of them." I'm like, might
Yeah,
steal one of those.
that's what my PB came off of this weekend.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Uh-oh.
a good lipless rod too.
You hear that,
Yeah.
Bam? You're not
Guess
No,
he's
those,
got to
building
go
them
back
again.
into making rods.
those old glass rods, man. There's something else.
I think you and I had a chatterbait conversation, rod conversation on the way last year at party.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I know you said it was a
yeah.
6 cents something or other, and I can't remember
I'm very
what rod it
particular.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're gonna buy a chatter rod, the way I like to throw it, which is just me. I really like the Evergreen makes a really good rod.
The glass rod.
Evergreen glass chatter rod is a really good rod. It's the most similar to what I built, but I fish it way differently. It's super interesting hearing Pua talking about fishing the chatter on lakes, and that's so foreign to me. Like I love the chatterbait when I feel like it's appropriate, but the Pua makes it work places where it shouldn't work. It just like blows my mind. It's pretty crazy.
Yes, sir.
I was telling John last week that I wish I had brought a flipping stick just to see if it didn't matter, but I think I just made it work, because I think if I were to flip like a creature or a crawl in there, I think it probably would have been the same deal.
Yeah.
But because I didn't have that, I just went with what I had, and man, it was not fun setting the hook with a glass composite rod like that, because this is like that bend was just too much.
It just never loads up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, does not feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. John, Shane, you got anything for these guys?
No, congratulations to both of you, man.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
thank you.
well done. Great job.
What
Yeah.
was your limit, Pua, at Folsom?
My total limit,
Yeah.
95 and 92 and 92 and a quarter.
Dude, that is for
It's
Folsom,
unreal.
man. That is unreal.
Yeah. So I looked that up, and that's almost an 18-pound limit.
Yeah, I
I
had
think so.
one day before last year's tournament when everybody thought I was going to do good, but I fished it in like December when the water was low. That I should have had about a 94-inch day that day at Folsom. Same thing, like 2 key fish, man. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is wild. What'd you have at Pardee for your 2 days?
I think I had 150 inches, which is like, in my mind, for
75 a day?
Pardee especially, is like pitiful, And I don't know. I feel a little weird about it altogether, but again, the tougher the bite is, I feel like the better chance I have.
Yeah, that's for Pardee over 2 days to have 75 a day and win this time of year is, I don't know if they just got beat up too bad before the event happens from opening day because everybody wanted to fish it. But I mean, that lake is usually, because what Savco had a mid-90s bag, I think, right? 2 years ago to win. I think mine was 91, some change. I think last year is what I ended up having. To not have a 90-inch bag either one of those days, that is just crazy for that lake.
I think Daniel Blaba had a 92.
Yeah, Blaba was 90. Yeah, Blaba was 91 to 92, but
yeah.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, day one.
To do that 2 days in a row was insane, and then the amount of limits. I think day one was 6 limits for 30 guys. It's like, oh my gosh,
not good.
There's got to be some feisty smallmouth somewhere.
Terrence didn't get a limit day one, did he?
No, and if there's so many people, if they would have had a limit day one and day two, or vice versa, then
it made a big difference.
I would have gotten wrecked.
Yeah.
John included. I mean, I got pretty lucky. I mean, if you watch Greg's videos, I mean, he was on a pretty cool bite. He just got really unlucky. I'm just got lucky, really.
Because John, you started day 2 out with a bang. You had what, 19 incher?
19 off the get, yeah.
Yeah.
Some big rock pile.
Yeah, Damien and I were watching, like, oh, Johnny's got it. Like,
yeah, I had my 5th one on too, and it jumped and got off. But hey, that's what happens.
It's fishing.
That was out of grass too. It was shallow, and it kind of put me a little surprised there. I threw over on the grass and swam it above it, and felt like I went through it. And I stopped it for a second, and next thing I know, I felt the thunk. I was out of position, and anyways, it jumped, got off. And I told myself, that wasn't a keeper. It wasn't a keeper. That's all you can say, But the next one I caught was a lot smaller, and it was a keeper. So, whatever. That's just how it
Hey.
goes, you know.
Your fishing
Yeah.
partner Donnie said you stole all his fish from him.
You know, I hate to say this, but Donnie, he was right there by me both days, and so was Daniel Blaba. And I
Yeah.
think I started spinning their heads around day 2 because it was hard to get bit. And Daniel goes, "Is that jig on the bottom?" I go, "Oh yeah, it hits the bottom for a second, and then I swim it off the bottom, and I let it hit the bottom." But I was working the jig pretty fast, and that's how I was getting my bites. So I kept with it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
Old
tried
Bam's
to
out there picking his
stuff
nose,
too.
and Johnny's stroking a
Yeah,
jig.
yeah. Basically, let it hit the bottom, and I'd pop it right up. Let it hit the bottom,
Opposite
pop it right
minds.
up. Yeah,
Well, it's
Yeah.
just it's like at Folsom too. Pooh was fishing the chatterbait, and I was in
Yeah.
the main lake fishing 30 feet deep with
Yeah.
a 2.8 Kitech. So
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
there's many ways to skin a cat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you
That's
do
true.
at Folsom, Bam?
I think I ended up 9th.
Okay, so you had a good
I
day.
I got rocked by the weather though. That was pretty intense.
That was brutal, huh?
You know,
that
I
hail.
was honestly shocked when I saw all the limits at Folsom and how many good limits were actually put up this year. I was definitely pleasantly surprised because Folsom usually doesn't do that on tournament day. You know, everybody loves to hate that place,
Pretty
but it's
stingy.
got some good fish, man, and you can get some good bags out there when you find them. I was definitely impressed with what you guys did out there.
Yeah, 65 limits. Yeah,
That's unheard of for Folsom.
522 fish were submitted. I'm sure people didn't submit all their fish, but yeah, that's a lot of fish.
That's a
Yeah.
far cry from last year. I mean, last year was
I had a buddy call me. He's like, "Dude, really?" And I go, "What?" And he's like, "So they had this old timers tournament every Wednesday night at Folsom, and the guy's like, 'You guys wrecked them.' I said, 'The bite was on, dude. It didn't matter where you were. I mean, you could catch them shallow, you catch them deep. If you wanted to do this, you could catch fish. Do that, you could catch fish.' He's like, 'Where was the guy at that won it?' I said, 'Oh, I don't know.' And I go, 'I know he was throwing a chatterbait.' 'No, he wasn't throwing no chatterbait. Yeah, I think he was throwing like 20 feet of water.' 'What?' Yeah, so and he goes, 'Man, I can't wait to tell these old timers that you guys suck and these guys from kayaks are whooping everybody.' I go, 'Yeah, make sure you tell them that and stay away from us.' You know, which you know, the boaters, you know, I hate to rag on them, but I'm a boater. I give people plenty of room, and I do give people plenty of room in a kayak, you know, and communication is key, you know. So
Yeah.
saying that this weekend at Clear Lake, please communicate with your local
for
anglers.
sure.
Just
Guys,
you know, be polite and just
Mhm.
talk over it, and you know,
Yeah.
there's plenty of room.
it's going to
for
be
that.
packed.
Yeah.
There's 145 of us right now signed up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it hit 200 by Friday. I mean, guys, we're going to be everywhere. There's plenty of launch ramps to choose from, but we're going to run into people.
Yeah, a
You
lot
know,
of
be
boaters
courteous
will
on
be
the water. You know,
Yeah.
if somebody's on your spot, dude, make sure you ask, talk to them. Hey, mind if I fish
Yeah.
with you? And if they don't want you to fish with you, you know what? Go to the next
They'll
spot
tell you.
and
Yeah.
repay the favor when they come to ask you. You know, what goes around, just go to Rodman, pack it up.
Sean sounds like, yeah, everybody go to Rodman.
Yeah, I
Block
guess
Bridge, right?
Rodman's on fire, guys. Rodman.
Yeah.
I haven't been there, guys. I haven't fished Clear Lake since last September, and I'm gonna show up Saturday morning and roll with it. So
It's gonna be a fun event.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Are you guys all
Always is.
going?
Yeah.
Yes. Bam.
Everybody going? I'm not going. The rest of you are going though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, good luck, guys. Stay
you
safe.
better reschedule that job you got on Saturday and come out, bud.
Yeah, that job's my brother's wedding. I think I got to show up for that one.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
skip that.
Yeah, I got a really crappy speech to give, so I better show up
Man,
for that one.
You
We can
tell
make
your
a
brother
paper
better make sure
machete
to
doll and
time.
put you in the wedding and get you up to the Clear Lake.
Yeah, no, you
Like a
guys have
weekends at
fun.
Bernie's type deal at a wedding.
Make a cast, take a nap for me, catch a big giant fish.
There you go. On a Ned rig. Pick your nose and cast a Ned rig.
Yeah, there you go.
Right on, guys.
Hey,
Hey,
congratulations to your brother.
Yeah, congrats, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bam,
And your
you're
brother,
always in
too.
it. Pua, that is insane that you're winning Folsom on a chatterbait.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thanks,
So-
man. Who knew?
Before we go,
Who knew, man?
so Bam and Pua. So the next event is at Clear Lake. What's your prediction on, let's say, inches? What's going to take the win?
Total inches for like
Clear
the
Lake.
no limit, right?
Yeah,
Let's see.
25 times 18. What's that?
Dude, I don't think so. I mean, from what I've heard, John, that bite is a little tough. But
Yeah, the bite is
heard
tough.
I've also heard that guys are cracking them when it's cold like this. So it can go either way.
See, but
I'm
I think
thinking anywhere from-
it's. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go, Shane.
No, go for it.
No, I was just saying. I'm thinking. It's gonna it's gonna be a numbers game, right? I don't think there's gonna be a lot of numbers being caught by the whole field. So I think the guys that are gonna find them, they're gonna find them and they're gonna crack on them. But most of the field, I think it's gonna be a tough fight because I think it's supposed to.
Oh, we lost you, Pooh.
Can't hear
From
you.
what it's looking, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
From what it's looking right now, weather-wise, I think it's going to be post-frontal, and you guys know how that bite goes, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough bite, huh?
Yeah.
Bam, what do you think?
So
I think you're going to have a handful of guys that are going to find some good groups of fish that are pushing into some shallow areas, and then I think, like Pooh was saying, the majority of guys are going to have a good day, are going to have a really good day, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to catch the leaders. There's going to be some separation there. Clear Lake is real spotty.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You get on the school,
Yeah.
you're gonna wreck them.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That's where I'm rolling the dice. I'm not going to find any schools beforehand. I'm throwing a dart at the map and I'm going. So
That's the
I
beauty
think-
of Clear Lake. It'll happen for someone.
Yeah, it will happen.
I
to
think
somebody.
somebody's going to crack 300 for a no limit.
yeah,
I think somebody will. Because what did
250 to
Anthony have
300.
at Maloney's last year? Like 321 or something like that?
321.
Yeah. That was at New Maloney's, right? I think somebody's going to crack that this year. I think somebody's going to have a bigger bag than that.
I think so. It's possible.
I think so.
Yeah.
And there's been couple DDs caught lately. I know the shock boat went out. I saw a post. The shock boat did pull up a double digit today. I don't know where he was at.
Today.
Like, yeah.
yep.
Gotta keep our
Brandon,
feelings
Matthew
crossed.
Brandon, yeah, posted a couple pictures from the guys doing the shock boat.
Yeah, follow that guy around, right?
Yeah. He lived
Brandon's
up there.
throwing in
Did
some
he?
major mind games for this one. I hope
Oh,
everybody's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I like it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Does Matthew live
Keeping
up there?
everybody updated.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I,
live
I
pretty
had to
close
pull
to
an
that.
April Fool's joke yesterday and say I caught 47
Yeah.
and then 55. I didn't even
saw
go.
that.
So.
Well, that was like Bailey put that picture out there. Look at this one I caught. He's in his blue kayak still. I'm like, bro, you got rid of that thing months ago.
Yeah, not a top part, Lunker Bunker.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you
the
gotta
Lunker
love
Bunker.
You gotta love them.
Don't get
Yeah.
too comfortable. John Pearl and Paul Bailey have until Friday to sign up, you know.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, I hope they
Oh
do.
yeah.
get their
Yeah.
kayak legs under them, you know. So that would be pretty terrifying.
And then I think David Burr is signed up, huh?
I think that, yeah. I'm pretty sure I
Yeah.
saw him on there.
I saw that. I was like, oh man.
Who's that?
He's the owner of Clear Lake Outdoors.
Clearly,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Good for him. Yeah,
Yeah,
he only
that's
works
awesome.
at
He
school.
fished last year too. I can't remember what event, but he came out and fished it. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the 5 o'clock meeting Friday night is at Clear Lake Outdoors. I do
Yes.
believe. I think is what Mark said. So you guys go down there, check them out. I think they're doing raffle food and all that stuff, if I remember right. That was last week. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But
You have to be
So-
off the water at what time?
5 o'clock.
5.
yeah.
Off the water by 5
Off the water at 5 o'clock.
on
He's
Friday.
doing a Facebook Live launch anthem thing Saturday morning.
Oh,
5:45. Launch was 5:45. Lines in at 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6:15. 6 2:14 and 59 seconds is the last time you could have that fish picture taken. So it's not a 2:15 and 59, it's 2:14 and 59. So don't forget that, guys. Once that clock hits 2:15, yep. Once that clock hits 2:15, it is done and over with.
2:15, not one o'clock, or not 2 o'clock, but 2:15.
2:14 and 59 seconds.
Okay.
So the last chance you have to submit your photo or take your photo, not submit, take.
We're
So
gonna
guys,
miss you,
hey,
man.
Yeah. And if you haven't signed up yet, get over and signed up. Get signed up.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
gonna be fun to
excluding-
go.
excluding-
excluding BAM, but
It's
know.
Clear Lake.
Yeah, let's break 200.
yeah,
No,
I
Bam
mean,
needs
it'd be
sign
nice
up.
to
He
see
needs
200 kayaks on a lake.
tell his
And,
brother
and,
he's got to get
and
married.
the last
next
time I
weekend.
heard, Clear Lake Outdoors has an excellent selection of both Ned rigs and chatterbaits. So if you look for anything from this podcast,
Go and get
Hey,
them.
I do have a Ned rig and I do have a chatterbait rigged up. It's not because of you two though.
So, Bam, one more thing real quick. The Ned rig, so you were using the giant Ned or a hula stick or the
I was using the big TRD.
big TRD?
Yeah, on my wall over here, I have probably 50 packages of big TRDs, 2 of the giants,
Okay.
and none of the tiny ones, the little finesse ones. The big one is, you can make it a finesse one. It's a good chatterbait trailer. It's good on, just on the back of a net head. It's good on a jig. It does all sorts of things. The giant TRD is kind of crazy. Yeah, Max Lee
Green
just
pumpkin.
TRT. Green pumpkin like 95% of the time. I'll throw PB&J when it's really cold. I'll throw a black and blue if it's really, really cloudy. And that's about it.
Copper truce. That's all I gotta say.
I've never had a bite on that.
I have had some fantastic bites on that. I'm not gonna tell you what lake we were at. I'll tell you off there. But
Clear Lake. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what lake. I know what lake.
But yeah, that's a good bait up there. It is. Yeah, I've had some good fish on that at Clear Lake. For when they're on that chartreuse and that water is all covered in algae, it could be money. So
Yeah.
yes, sir.
And just like we were talking about earlier too, colors and all that stuff, it's mostly preference, I think, Like I would never in a million years think of throwing a chatterbait at Folsom in that type of weather and the time of year it was, and I got my ass beat, so it's just you got to keep an open mind and just try different things until you find what works for you. That's just how
It's your
it works.
confidence baits, guys. Confidence.
Exactly.
I'm going to go to Clear Lake throwing a whole bunch of things I'm not 100% confident in. I'm going to throw a bunch of things that I am 100% confident in. It happens, right? I mean, you start experimenting, crazy things happen. It happened to me in Almanor last year. I never threw a free rig till then. And tell you what, I throw it all the time now. So, guys, get signed up. I appreciate you joining and watching this
thanks
week.
for
Next
watching.
week, I'm going to track down whoever won Clear Lake. Maybe one of these guys right here. And we'll try to get them on.
Sure would be nice.
Except for Bam. Bam's at a wedding, all right? He's going to be all like dressed up and clean shaven and, haircut and the whole 9 yards. So
Don't count on that. The hillbilly will shine through, I promise.
there you go. Perfect. Don't forget, guys, next weekend, the 13th, is the grand opening of the Headwaters Rancho Cordova location. They are open right now. Stop by, say hi to those guys. They will be doing tacos on Saturday next week for the grand opening. Reading Outdoor Sportsman's Expo. Go see Brian at the booth up there this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. So leave Clear Lake, shoot on up to Reading, say hi to Brian, see what kind of deal he'll give you on a kayak at the show. There will be in-person deals at the grand opening. So if you're in the area, stop by. It's on Folsom. So it's Sunrise Folsom Highway 50. So it's on Folsom Boulevard between Sunrise and Zinfandel. It's by the big gymnastics duplex thing there. There is a sign out front. So off of Folsom, get you guys there. So make sure you check that out. Go support them. People He's moving closer now. He did it. He did a ton for us when he's only up in Redding. Now they're closer. They got second location. Imagine.
That's good.
Yeah,
Super,
it's gonna be
super
great.
awesome.
It's gonna be fantastic for the valley to have a
Yeah.
headwater shop down here to help support all of our needs, wants, desires. They are rigging boats out at the new location. They have been doing it for a while. Same line that's up at Redding, Crescent, Hobie, Old Town, Eddie Lines, and can't think of what else. But those will all be sold down here in Rancho. So he hasn't added anything new yet. So that's the plan with that. Oh, next week we're gonna talk some salt fishing. Yeah, Abel's gonna join me next week with Len Gray. We'll talk some saltwater fishing safety tips, tricks, all that fun stuff, and hopefully have the winner of the Native No Limit on. So that's the plan for next week, guys. Bam, Pua.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Dude, that
great
is-
Good job. Thank you, guys.
Hey, it was
I
good
love
hanging
the,
out. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget next week, 6:00, saltwater fishing. Hopefully, the winner of Native. All right, we'll catch you all next week.